Jai Shri Radhe, sa Vaishnavan ko, sa prem, sa nanda, sadar और सदैन्य जय श्री कृष्ण श्री आचार्य जी की जय श्री गोसाई जी की जय आज के आनंद की जय. Continuing with the Varta of the 252 Vaishnav disciples of Sri Gosaiji, today is Varta 180 and today is day 194. The story of a Kshatriya from the east who had two wives. Bhav Prakash. This is a devotee of Tamasi disposition. In the eternal Leela, the man's name is Rangadevi, and his two wives are Gula and Nigula. The three of them manifest from Sunanda and others personifications of her divine loving sentiment. They were all born into Kshatriya families in the east. The Kshatriya man was married to these two wives. Afterwards, his parents died, and three of them set off on pilgrimage. They came to Gokul and became disciples of Sri Gosaiji. Sri Gosaiji granted them one Sri Thakurji to serve, and they returned home, taking him with them. The three of them served their Sri Thakurji lovingly. They fed prasad regularly to Vaishnavas. Part 1. They all served their Sri Thakurji most lovingly. They made sure that Vaishnavas from around there came to them for prasad. One day they went off to invite some Vaishnavas and found one person sleeping by the side of a large well. When they lifted up the warm cover under which he was sleeping, they saw his kanti and realized he was a Vaishnava. They said, "Oh, Vaishnava, please get up." He did not reply. So they held his hand and pulled him up. The Vaishnava began to swear at them, but they pulled him to their home. The husband gave him a pot of water and sent him off for his ablutions. He went. When he returned, they washed his hands for him. They got him to clean his teeth and take a bath. They put in front of him the materials for him to apply his sacred forehead mark, saying, "Now please apply your tilak and chant the Lord's name." The husband went to the two wives and told them, "This Vaishnava is of the eternal Leela. Please remain humbly respectful before him and do whatever he asks of you." He instructed his wives to treat the Vaishnava in this way, so that they did not negatively judge his actions and that they would avoid offending him. In the eternal Leela, this Vaishnava was a Sakhi of Sri Yamunaji named Pritama. The husband and his two wives were all Sakhis of Pritama, and the husband knew this. Therefore he told his wives about the Vaishnava's Leela form, knowing that their devotional purpose would be successfully achieved through them. He told them to be ready to serve him. Part 1 continued. The husband bathed and accepted back his Sri Thakurji's offerings as prasad. Having done so, he afforded that Vaishnava the holy sight of his Sri Thakurji. He then performed the Lord's arti and came out of Seva after settling down his Lord to take rest. He invited the Vaishnava to partake of prasad. The Vaishnava flatly refused to do so. The husband asked him, "What do you need? Please ask it of me." The Vaishnava said, "I want your wife." The husband said, "Yes, she is here." His wives came there and stood with folded hands. The Vaishnava then said, "I also want your other wife." She also came and stood there. The Vaishnava addressed them, "If you leave your husband to come with me, a renunciate, what will you do?" They asked, "We shall do whatever service you ask of us, for you are a Vaishnava, but please do accept prasad from our house." The Vaishnava then demanded, "Now give me your wealth and your house." The husband said, "Oh, please do accept my wealth, house and wives, but first please take prasad here." The Vaishnava said, "Okay, but first you must get out of this house. Then I might take of prasad." The husband said, "Very well, I shall take my Sri Thakurji in his travel basket right now. Please then have your prasad." The Vaishnava said he would do so after the husband had left the house. The husband bathed and went into the temple to pick up his Sri Thakurji, who addressed him directly. "Let him have or not have his prasad. Let him even go hungry. But tell me, where are you going to take me?" The husband replied, "It is very important that the Vaishnava partake of prasad. How can I let a Vaishnava leave my house hungry? I shall do whatever he tells me, but I want him to partake of prasad." Bhav Prakash. If a Vaishnava leaves your house hungry, then your duties of seva are compromised. Compared to this devotional duty, one's wealth and spouse are unimportant. Part 1 continued. Sri Thakurji was pleased to hear his words and remarked, "You have firm faith in this Vaishnava, and I am pleased with you for this. Ask of me whatever you wish." The husband said, "My request is that this Vaishnava should not leave my house hungry. May that Vaishnava be pleased with me as you are now." Bhav Prakash. This reveals the exalted position of Vaishnavas. An accomplished Vaishnava is highly superior. Why? Because Sri Thakurji resides in their heart. If they are happy, then so is the Lord. Part 1 continued. The Vaishnava happily partook of prasad. Pleased, he proffered his blessing. Always continue in your service of the Lord, your Guru and Vaishnavas. I tested you strictly, but now I have seen your dedication to your faith. You are great." Then he began to leave. The husband said, "You cannot leave today. Please stay for a week or so, then I might let you go." The Vaishnava stayed there. The husband took a couple of hours to rest. He then attended to the Uttapan afternoon services. The wives cooked from fresh hot preparations and offered them to Sri Thakurji for supper. When they had accepted back the offerings, the Vaishnava had the holy sight of their Sri Thakurji. They then settled the Lord down for his rest, fed the Vaishnava and partook themselves afterwards. They all sat down together to discuss the Lord's pastimes. The Vaishnava spoke and the husband and wives listened very happily. They addressed the Vaishnava. "O Vaishnavji, please always stay with us. Satsanga with you is very lovely. It is rare for us to have such association. You have blessed us so much." The Vaishnava stayed there for another week. Then he piped up, "I must go now. I cannot stay any more." The wives said, "Oh, please do stay a few more days." He said he would indeed do so, but that for now he must go to Vraja to have the holy face sight of the Lord's lotus face, drink some Mataji water, travel around Vraja and have the sight of Sri Gosaiji. "But I shall come back to you. I shall stay a few more days because of your love for Vaishnavas. For now, however, I am going." The husband folded his hands and said, "If you need any funds or clothes for the journey, please tell me." The Vaishnava said that he was not in the habit of asking for anything. Bhav Prakash, his way of life was that of depending on the omnipresent Lord of all to provide whatever he needed. It's called Akash Vritti. How? I will survive on whatever the Lord gives me, whenever he gives it to me, and I will not ask anything from anyone. I depend on none other than him, and I have no preference for any particular thing or circumstance. Part 1 continued. So, without his asking, the husband gave him some funds, clothes and prasad to take with him. He set off. The husband and the two wives went back inside to their seva of Sri Thakurji. They served him even more lovingly. He began to grant them his personal experience and blessed them by asking of them whatever he required. They remained blessed for all of their lives. Bhav Prakash. The moral of this story is you should recognize that Sri Thakurji has fully blessed you with love when you surrender your body, mind and wealth to an accomplished Vaishnava, when you give them your unconditional love. Whatever their behaviour, your love should not diminish. When you experience this divine loving sentiment, then you should know that your divine love has matured into permanence. Without this kind of feeling, the path of grace cannot be fully savoured in the loving heart. This husband and his two wives had this kind of sentiment, and so, through Sri Gosaiji's grace, their Sri Thakurji showered his grace upon them and was pleased with them. Thus concludes Varta 180, the story of the husband with two wives who were the recipients of Sri Gosaiji's great grace and accomplished Vaishnavas. There is truly no end to their tale. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho, sab Vaishnavan ko jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.